Hi, friends. It's Sherry with the Homespun Wife, and I hope you all have had a wonderful weekend. And our vacation, or staycation as we called it, has ended. And today I have just felt compelled to talk to you about a subject that is near and dear to me. Um, it's one that I've sort of put off talking about, but I know that there's so much being said about it. I just feel like I need to share from my heart about racism. Um, I think we all know that racism is wrong and that God does not approve of racism, that He absolutely abhors racist activity because He loves us all. You know, the Bible says that in Christ there is no male, no female, no race, and we are all His children. He loves us all. We were all created by His hand, and And so it's important for us to show love and kindness and understanding to each other and not harbor racism in our hearts. Um, I was never raised as a racist. I grew up in the Deep South. I was born in Alabama, but my parents were from North Carolina, and that's where I live now. And, they never ever taught me racism. We talked about the races. We talked about, the fact that there were blacks and Asians and Latinos at the time. We'll call them Hispanics, and we knew that, but we knew that there were different cultures and different ideas and different feelings about things sometimes from our experiences. But we were all to be treated equally and to show love. And I can even remember when I was a child, when we grew up, my husband and I both in the 60s and 70s, at a time when racial tensions were high, and I'm afraid they're becoming high again, and um, I really am sad about that. But we grew up in a time when racial tensions were high also, and our parents were very straightforward. They were very honest with us, and we did not know each other when we were children. We didn't meet till college, and our growing up situations were totally different. But neither set of our parents had any racism at all, and so we were blessed. We were blessed that way. Um, I have some friends who were brought up with parents who had racist feelings, but as adults, those friends now have put all that aside and they do not feel that way at all. And so just because you were taught a certain way or your parents felt a certain way, that doesn't mean that you have to continue doing that if it's wrong. Because your true father is your father in heaven. And he tells us that we are to have no nothing but love for other people. And we were taught when I was growing up, and it's what I taught my four children, that we are to judge people by their character. We are not to judge them by any other reason but character. And I know this because I faced some of this in my own situation. One of my twin daughters dated a young man, 4 years of high school, and we grew to love that young man. He was Caucasian, and he was just a good fella, and we got very used to him being around our house. And but when she was a senior in high school, they broke up suddenly, and it was tough for me. I didn't think I was going to be able to get over that, and and my husband wasn't sure he'd get over it either because we were so used to seeing the other person, And then one day, maybe a month or two later, my daughter took me to the side and she said, "Mom, will you take a ride with me in the car?" And I remember it like it's yesterday. And she said, "I have something I need to talk to you about, and it's very important." And I said, "Okay." And she said, she pulled over to the Walmart parking lot, and she told me, she said, "Mom, I'm in love with someone new, and I don't know how you're going to feel about it. I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I need to tell you that he's he's a black man. He's a young black man from school, and we're both seniors, and you know him, you know his name." I didn't know him well, but I knew his name. I knew he had a wonderful father that had died the previous year, and basically he lived with families in our community. He played sports, and he lived with families in our community so he could finish playing sports in high school and go on and maybe get a college scholarship. And he did go on to college, and he did graduate college, which was wonderful. But his mom lived in another state, and so she loved him and had a pretty good relationship with him. But he stayed there and finished up his high school years without his father, who had really raised him, and I know that was very hard. And that's about all that I knew about him. And it was a shock to me. It was so hard for me. At our small southern town, I didn't know one other interracial couple. Now, I have known them, interracial couples, in the past, adults, but not young people. And I knew that there had been a couple of situations that had arisen in family members in our community where the girl and their family had dated a young African American man and had really, really cared for him and wanted to continue dating him. And the family said, if you do not drop this relationship, you will be excommunicated from our family. We will have nothing more to do with you. I couldn't imagine doing that. Um, that is not that is not the Christian way to respond at all. But I will admit, in my heart, I was concerned for my daughter for a couple of reasons. One, because I felt like she was on the rebound and maybe, was not ready for another relationship. And especially with a young African American man, she had never dated an African American person before. And so I was worried about that. And then my primary concern, and I hate to admit this, it is so shallow for me to tell you guys this about myself, but I really worried about what other people would think, because I knew that within our church family, and my husband is a pastor, that there would be some people that would not agree with this and would be very displeased. And it's terrible that we have to think about those things, but I did think about them. And it was tough. I tried to discourage her a little bit, um, and she said, "Mom, you and Dad never, ever, ever talked about race with us. We've had all races in our home. You have never mentioned the difference between any of the races, and you told me that as long as I chose someone that loved me and made me happy and that had good character, has a good reputation and a good character, then that is all that you would ask." And so that is what I've done. And um, in the end, we had to totally support that. Now, as we got to know Darius, we just fell in love with him. He is a precious person. He is a hilarious person that always makes us laugh. And even though we were worried that they were so young because they were only 18 years old, they got married 6 months later in our home. And it's something that Kelly really, really wanted. And both of my daughters, matter of fact, were married at home. That's just what they just wanted, the home wedding. So one was a few years after the other, but um, they home was so special to them. They wanted to get married at home. And Kelly got married 2 days after Christmas, and it had snowed on Christmas Day and the day after, and so her wedding was beautiful at home. Lots of snow on the ground, and Dad got out early and he shoveled the walkway, and the Christmas tree was still up, and we had candles, and my mom came, and we went outside, and we got some holly bushes, and I got some stems off of that, and then I even went and I made her a bouquet myself with some beautiful red roses and baby's breath, and I hand tied that with silk ribbon, and it was just a really, really sweet, special day that we still talk about. And almost 6 years later, they are expecting their fourth child, and they are so happy and so in love. They are so supportive of one another. Um, they have been just just a precious couple, a wonderful example of what God can do and how he puts people together, because they complement one another so well. And they are, let's see, in December they bought their first home, and they had both been in school at the same time raising children while they were in college, and I know that was really tough. Um, and so they lived away for a little while, and then when they decided to land somewhere, they came back near us and bought a home just a mile from us, and we were so tickled to have them near. It is just a blessing. And our whole family has just embraced Darius with open arms, because he is one of us. He is my son, and he is so good to Kelly, and he is a wonderful, wonderful father. His father, I never really got to know him because he died before Kelly and Darius started dating, but you couldn't meet a finer person than Darius, so it lets me know that his father had to be a fantastic person. And I say all this to say that yes, there was a little bit of flack from a few people in church. We did get a little negative feedback here and there, but overall the response was very supportive and kind. Um, People have been very loving towards our grandchildren, and we're so excited about that. That's sweet. And there's no place in this world for hatred of any kind, even on issues that we might disagree with, such as sexual orientation or things like that, things that I might consider in my Christian walk to not be godly behavior. I still have to love the person. I still want to be kind to people, and their decisions and their choices in life, that's up to them. Let them answer that and deal with that. We have to love people, but especially on the issue of racism. Um, you know, there's no place for it in our world, and we need to get beyond it. And yes, young black men have a harder time um, finding work. I think it's very unfortunate that our society has made it so that people of different races sometimes don't get paid the same, don't get treated the same, don't have equal opportunity. We need to work to change that so that we all, no matter what, have an equal opportunity to succeed and be all that God made us to be. And so those are my feelings about racism. And if we stopped and look at all the problems that we have personally, if I look at my own life and see all the issues I have personally, I don't have time to be angry with anyone else or unkind to anyone else. Um, I have to show grace because the Lord has shown me grace. So before I close out today, I want to show you some pictures of my family, so that you can see them and just see the great love that I'm surrounded with every day in my life. And I just want to thank you for being attentive while I show these photos to you.
Here's a picture of me and my husband and our children. And this is our oldest son, Lee, and his wife, Hannah. And this is our son, James Paul, that had the recent birthday. He just turned 28. And Lee works in a neighboring city. He does primarily handling accounts and doing some computer work for a business that I'm not going to say the name of it, but he does that. And Hannah is a high school teacher. And Paul is an Air Force veteran. I told you about him. And then these are our twin girls. And when they got to be in high school, they started dyeing their hair differently so that people could tell them apart because they are identical. And this is Natalie. She's the oldest by 2 minutes. And she's a stay-at-home mommy. She has 2 little children, a boy and a girl. And they are the little boy will be 3 here in about a week. And then the little girl is about 16 months old. And this is her husband, Manny, and he works in banking. And then this is our daughter, Kelly, and Kelly's the younger twin, and she's expecting her 4th child. It's a little girl, and her husband, Darius. Darius works for Walmart Distribution here in Shelby, and really loves that job. And Kelly's a stay-at-home mommy, and they have 3 children. They have a daughter and 2 sons, going from age 5 down to age 15 months. There's just 1 month age difference between the twins' youngest children. And so that is our family. And I thought this would be a great picture to close out with today. This is our two youngest grandchildren, the twins' children. Like I said, there's only 1 month's age difference. It's March 9th and April 8th. That's when they were born, March 9th and April 8th. And here they are sleeping in our floor when we had them here for a little event. And they were crashed out side by side, and we thought that was so sweet. Okay, I can't help it. I'm going to show just another couple pictures here of these beautiful little grandchildren that we have.
Friends, whoever you are, wherever you are, be kind and love someone today in the Lord, because that is all that really matters in the end. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I'm thrilled. I'm approaching 500 subscribers, and man, that is such a blessing. I thank you so much for spending time with me and listening to me ramble on about different subjects. If you have something sweet that you would like to share, please do it in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Okay, bye bye.